Johnson, for that warm introduction, and thank you so much for your service to the United States of America. Thank you so much for your friendship. Yeah, before I really begin my prepared remarks, I just can't thank Representative Johnson enough for her outstanding service to this Braintrust. She started several years ago with our colleague, Representative Corinne Brown, as we joined Congressman Charlie Rangel. And of course, when Corinne Brown left the Congress, she extracted an oath from her good friend that she would join this Braintrust, and she kept her oath. Thank you so very much. You know, as she indicated, we came to Congress at the same time, almost 30 years ago, and she has been a trusted friend, a big leader. She is a tremendous leader and has a great legacy with the Science Committee, but she also was a former chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, offering extremely outstanding leadership for this organization, as we have continued now for 51 years. So please join me in giving Representative Johnson a great round of applause. Although we wish her a healthy and a restful retirement, we also hope that she won't be a stranger and that she will continue to come back and participate with us. I also want to recognize our dear friend of long standing in his absence, Ron Armstead.
Yes.
Who's been the spirit of the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation.
Yes.
Braintrust for many, many years. Ron has displayed perseverance and fidelity to our veterans, past and present, and he was the glue that held this Braintrust together, working with Congressman Rangel and with us for so many years, and we just want to give a shout out to Ron. Yeah. And it's wonderful to see folks here in person again. As many of you know, the last 2 years we held this Braintrust virtually because of the COVID-19 pandemic. At the 2020 Braintrust, we heard from Dr. Anthony Fauci, then we heard from the Surgeon General Jerome Adams, and the former Surgeon General of the Army, Nigel West. We heard from them on how the pandemic was having a disproportionate impact on the African American veteran population. Last year, we heard from Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin and Secretary of Veterans Affairs Dennis McDonough on the efforts of the Biden administration to address the impact that COVID-19 has had on the African American veteran community. While these virtual Braintrusts were inspiring and informative, we missed the personal interaction and the fellowship when they were held in person. I know that there'll be many people still watching us virtually as well. My wish is that all of the participants in this year's Veterans Braintrust, both in person and online, will remain healthy and safe as the pandemic recedes and life returns to normal. That brings me to the topic of this year's CBCF Veterans Braintrust, elevating the healthcare needs of Black women veterans in the 21st century. You will hear shortly from Secretary of Veterans Affairs Dennis McDonough, as well as a distinguished panel of experts that will highlight the healthcare and transition challenges that African American women veterans face after leaving military service. We know that among veterans, women face an uphill battle in receiving the same respect and attention their male counterparts receive. Women veterans often face harassment and discrimination in VA clinics and in traditional veteran service organizations. These are spaces that should be welcoming, and where they aren't, women suffer. They suffer because they are unable to protect their peace, and they suffer because they are less likely to use services and benefits to which they are entitled, but are uncomfortable or believe they may not be fully safe. Additionally, surveys of veterans have found that female veterans face higher rates of military sexual trauma, domestic violence, anxiety, and depression compared to their male counterparts. And among our women veterans, we know that Black women and other minorities face additional hurdles in accessing the care that they've rightly earned. Black women veterans fare worse in many healthcare metrics than their non-black counterparts. This is especially true for maternal healthcare outcomes, in which black women are more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than women of any other racial demographic. But while our women and black women veterans face many challenges, I'm heartened to see the strides that we've made. When the VA works, it works. Veterans receive quick, low-cost, and high-quality health care. Under Secretary McDonough's leadership, the VA has focused its energy and budgetary resources on increasing the availability and the quality of gender-specific care to women veterans. And under Chairwoman Wasserman Schultz's leadership, the House Appropriations Military Construction Veterans Affairs Subcommittee has continued to invest in the VA to expand services and other benefits to our deserving women veterans. But we're not done with our mission to provide gender-specific care to our veterans. The VA and its partners in Congress must continue the work. That includes ensuring more women veterans, especially rural veterans, receive convenient, consistent, and world-class care from VA facilities. This year marks the 34th year of the Veterans Braintrust and the 51st anniversary of the founding of the Congressional Black Caucus. Started by Congressman Charles Rangel of New York in 1971, veterans from across the country have convened in Washington to discuss the challenges facing African American veterans. We've highlighted the contributions of African American veterans throughout our nation's history. And as I'm sure many of you today are aware, African American contributions to our military often have been overlooked, often forgotten, due to racism and the prejudices over the years. We've also brought together diverse groups of individuals from veteran service organizations, from colleges and universities, grassroots organizations, and elected and appointed officials on how to effectuate the change necessary to improve the lives of our African American veteran community. This year is no different. The Honorable Dennis McDonough, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, will be our keynote speaker today. He is the 11th United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs. He was appointed to this position by President Biden and confirmed by the United States Senate in February of 2021. He's no stranger to us. He was gracious enough to appear at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation's Veterans Braintrust last year. Prior to leading the Department of Veterans Affairs, Secretary McDonough was President Barack Obama's Chief of Staff during the second term. He's a great friend of our nation's veterans, and he served our country with distinction for many years. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the stage our Secretary of Veterans Affairs, the Honorable Dennis McDonough.
He's so funny.
Wow, good